Tape 7, Side A. Accost. To approach and speak to. When the two young men accosted me, I was frightened because I thought they were going to attack me. Association. He approached, spoke, and asked what it would accost. Accost. To approach and speak to. Actuated. To be a motive for a person's action. Men and women can only work together effectively if they are actuated by a desire to contribute to the common effort. The axe shooed everyone away and motivated us to run. Actuated. To be a motive for a person's action. Alienate. To cause to become unfriendly or hostile. His attempts to alienate his two friends failed because they had complete faith. Association. The alien became unfriendly and hostile. Alienate. To cause to become unfriendly or hostile. Ameliorate. To make or become better. We must ameliorate the condition of those who live in slums. Association. That meal we ate is better than last time. Ameliorate. To make or become better. Augur. To foretell. The fortune teller exclaimed, "This augurs well for your future. It is a favorable sign." Association. The old ogre could foretell, predict the future. Augur. To foretell. Let's review. Accost means to approach and speak to. Actuated means to be a motive for a person's action. Alienate means to cause to become unfriendly or hostile. Ameliorate means to make or become better. Augur means to foretell. Aver. To assert or affirm. I wish to aver that I am certain of success. Association. I assert that a fir tree is firm. Aver. To assert or affirm. Berate. To scold. He feared she would berate him for his forgetfulness. Association. She scolded him for not obtaining a better rate. Berate. To scold. Beset. To surround. Hem in. The temptations that beset people face them on all sides. Association. The bees set down all around him. Beset. To surround. Hem in. Cerebrate. To think. Mathematics problems sometimes require much cerebration. Association. I think it is time to cerebrate. Cerebrate. To think. Cloy. C-L-O-Y. To sicken by glutting with sweetness or pleasure. My taste for the theater has been cloyed by too frequent attendance. Association. Santa Claus brings so much sweets and pleasure each year, I get sick from overindulging. Cloy. To sicken by glutting with sweetness or pleasure. Let's review. Aver means to assert or affirm. Berate means to scold. Beset means to surround, hem in. Cerebrate means to think. Cloy means to sicken by glutting with sweetness or pleasure. Confound. To astonish, perplex, bewilder, or confuse. If they practice what they preach, they will confound the critics of free enterprise. Association. I was astonished and perplexed that the con was found in the bewilderness. Confound. To astonish, perplex, bewilder, or confuse. Confute. To prove a person or argument to be wrong. I will confess that your sound argument confutes my statement. Association. Confucius was able to prove a person's argument wrong almost all the time. Confute. To prove a person or argument to be wrong. Cosset. C-O-S-S-E-T. To pamper. His mood was the opposite of self-pity, a feeling that his life had been too cosseted and fur-lined. Association. I store the Pampers in the cosset. Cosset. To pamper. Countermand. To cancel a command or order. The general countermanded the orders issued in his absence. Association. The restaurant's counterman canceled my order and I left. Countermand. To cancel a command or order. Decimate. To destroy literally 1/10 of, or to destroy a large proportion of. The slaughter was great as the defenders decimated the invaders. Association. Does your mate want to destroy your mistress now that she knows? Decimate. To destroy 1/10 of. To destroy a large proportion of. Let's review. Confound means to astonish, perplex, bewilder, or confuse. Confute means to prove a person or argument to be wrong. Cosset means to pamper. Countermand means to cancel a command or order. Decimate means to destroy 1/10 of, to destroy a large proportion of. Denigrate, to blacken the reputation of, to sneer at. During the life of Abraham Lincoln, many newspapers tried to denigrate him. Association. Everyone sneered at the blackened dinner no one ate. Denigrate, to blacken the reputation of, to sneer at. Devastate, to lay waste, cause great destruction to, overwhelm mentally. The student was devastated when Harvard rejected his application for admission. Association. The entire state was overwhelmed by the destruction that lay it to waste. Devastate, to lay waste, cause great destruction to, overwhelm mentally. Disconcert, to fluster, upset. The lawyer was disconcerted by the evidence produced by his adversary. Association. Disconcert upset me tonight. Disconcert, to fluster, upset. Dominate, to have a commanding influence over, to tower over. I have been at some pains to set forth the serious preoccupations which dominate us. Association. His dominoes towered over mine, gaining a commanding lead in the game. Dominate, to have a commanding influence over, to tower over. Efface, E-F-F-A-C-E, to rub out, obliterate. The coin had been handled so many times that its date had been effaced. Association. Someone rubbed out the face in the portrait. Efface, to rub out, obliterate. Let's review. Denigrate means to blacken the reputation of, to sneer at. Devastate means to lay waste, cause great destruction to, overwhelm mentally. Disconcert means to fluster, upset. Dominate means to have a commanding influence over, to tower over. Efface means to rub out, obliterate. Engender, to give rise to. This editorial will engender racial intolerance unless it is denounced. Association. Drinking gin, dear, will give rise to drunkenness. Engender, to give rise to. Engrossed, to occupy fully by absorbing attention. John was so engrossed in his studies that he did not hear his mother call. Association. His attention was completely occupied in buying groceries. Engrossed, to occupy fully by absorbing attention. Exacerbate. To make things worse. The ambassador was a tactless person who continued to exacerbate our already strained relations. Association. To make things worse, the eggs as served were used to bait us. Exacerbate. To make things worse. Excoriate. To denounce. Reproach harshly. Remove skin by abrasion. He would extol his friends and excoriate his enemies. Association. After the divorce, her ex would scurry about speaking harshly against her. Excoriate. To denounce. Reproach harshly. Remove skin by abrasion. Expostulate. To make a friendly protest. To reason or argue with a person. The class remained unruly despite the teacher's expostulations and scoldings. Association. I protest, Pa, you're always late. Expostulate. To make a friendly protest. To reason or argue with a person. Let's review. Engender means to give rise to. Engrossed means to occupy fully by absorbing attention. Exacerbate means to make things worse. Excoriate means to denounce, reproach harshly. And expostulate means to make a friendly protest, to reason or argue with a person. Expropriate. To take and use another's work, idea, etc. as one's own. The government expropriated much farmland to build the railroad. Association. It's not appropriate for you to take and use other people's work or ideas. Expropriate. To take and use another's work, idea, etc. as one's own. Extricate. To disentangle or release from a difficulty. The paratrooper extricated the cords of his parachute from the tree. Association. Get past that extra gate and we'll be released from this prison. Extricate. To disentangle or release from a difficulty. Filch. To pilfer or steal something of small value. The boys filched apples from the fruit stand. Association. He filled his pockets with nickel candy and walked out without paying. Filch. To pilfer or steal something of small value. Flay. To strip off the skin or hide of, criticize severely. The criminal was condemned to be flayed alive. Association. He filleted flat on the ground while he was criticized and stripped. Fillet. To strip off the skin or hide of, criticize severely. Flout. To disobey openly and scornfully. The headstrong youth flouted all authority. He refused to be curbed. Association. He played his flout in open disobedience of his mother. flout. To disobey openly and scornfully. Let's review. Expropriate. To take and use another's work, idea, etc. as one's own. Extricate means to disentangle or release from a difficulty. Filch means to pilfer or steal something of small value. Fillet means to strip off the skin or hide of, criticize severely. Flout means to disobey openly and scornfully. Gourmandize, to eat greedily. There are those who eat with discretion and those who gourmandize. Association. The gourmet say with his own eyes how much there was, and he started to eat. Gourmandize. To eat greedily. Grovel. To crawl in fear or humility. To humble oneself. The executive has no respect for a yes-man who grovels at his feet. Association. He was groveling in the gravel in fear and humility. Grovel. To crawl in fear or humility, to humble oneself. Incarcerate. To imprison. The warden will incarcerate the felon. Association. He parked his car in prison. Incarcerate. To imprison. Incite. To stir up, urge on to action. The mob was so angry, it was easy to incite them to riot. Association. The mob was easy to stir up once Frankenstein was in sight. Incite. To stir up, urge on to action. Inveigh, I-N-V-E-I-G-H. To attack violently or bitterly in words. The senators will inveigh against the opposition's plan. Association. Oy vey, why do you have to verbally attack me? Inveigh. To attack violently or bitterly in words. Let's review. Gourmandize means to eat greedily. Grovel means to crawl in fear or humility, to humble oneself. Incarcerate means to imprison. Incite means to stir up, urge on to action. Inveigh means to attack violently or bitterly in words. Inveigle, I-N-V-E-I-G-L-E, to entice. He was inveigled into joining the country club. Association. The thought of eating a bagel was enticing. Inveigle. To entice. Malinger. Pretend to be ill in order to avoid work. The sergeant thought they were malingering, but actually they were coming down with the measles. Association. Ma pretended to linger ill to avoid going back to work. Mallinger. Pretend to be ill in order to avoid work. Maundering. Talking in a rambling way. I tried to understand what he was saying, but the old man kept maundering. Association. Your speech is always mawandering. Maundering. Talking in a rambling way. Ossify. O-S-S-I-F-Y. To make or become rigid and unprogressive, bone-like. He implied that his adversary's brain had ossified and that he was not capable of clear thinking. Association. Officer, couldn't you be more understanding? Ossify. To make or become rigid and unprogressive, bone-like. Ostracize. To refuse to associate with, to cast out from a group or from society. He should be ostracized for his inexcusable rudeness. Association. He was like an ostrich. Everyone refused to associate with him. Ostracize. To refuse to associate with, to cast out from a group or from society. Let's review. Inveigle means to entice. Mallinger means pretend to be ill in order to avoid work. Maundering means talking in a rambling way. Ossify means to make or become rigid and unprogressive, bone-like. Ostracize means to refuse to associate with, to cast out from a group or from society. Propitiate. To win the favor or forgiveness of, to placate. The natives offered sacrifices to propitiate the gods. Association. He gave her fish to win forgiveness. Propitiate. To win the favor or forgiveness of, to placate. Rail. To complain, protest, or reproach strongly. The young boy's mother railed at him for not cleaning his room. Association. They all stood on the railroad rail and protested strongly. Rail. To complain, protest, or reproach strongly. Rescind. To repeal or cancel. Because of public resentment, the king had to rescind his order. Association. If you don't rescind my order, I'll cancel it. Rescind. To repeal or cancel. Revile. To criticize angrily in abusive language. He was avoided by all who feared that he would revile and abuse them if they displeased him. Association. Refile that complaint against him. His behavior is offensive. Revile. To criticize angrily in abusive language. Stultified. To impair or make ineffective. Their uncooperative approach has stultified the discussions. Association. Just cut his stilts and he'll be impaired and ineffective. Stultified. To impair or make ineffective. Let's review. Propitiate means to win the favor or forgiveness of, to placate. Rail means to complain, protest, or reproach strongly. Rescind means to repeal or cancel. Revile means to criticize angrily in abusive language. Stultified means to impair or make ineffective. Subjugate, to subdue or bring under control, conquer. It is not our aim to subjugate our foe. We are interested in establishing peaceful relations. Association. We conquered the sub, bring it in the gate. Subjugate, to subdue or bring under control, conquer. Upbraid, to reproach, scold. Don't upbraid her for such a small fault. Association. I'll take my braid and do more than just scold you. Upbraid, to reproach, scold. Vilify, to say evil things about, malign, slander. The desperate politician vilified his opponent. Association. The gossip and evil things that circulated the villa flied about. Vilify, to say evil things about, malign, slander. Vouchsafe, to grant condescendingly, guarantee. I can safely vouchsafe you a fair return on your investment. Association. I guarantee that the couch is safe for you to sit on. Vouchsafe, grant condescendingly, guarantee. Welter, a state of turmoil, a disorderly mixture. Amid the welter following the disaster, the victims could be seen wandering aimlessly. Association. Walter is in a state of confusion. Welter, a state of turmoil, a disorderly mixture. Let's review. Subjugate means to subdue or bring under control, conquer. Upbraid means to reproach, scold. Vilify means to say evil things about, malign, slander. Vouchsafe means to grant condescendingly, guarantee. And welter means a state of turmoil, a disorderly mixture. Your vocabulary is truly becoming richer as you use these power words daily. This concludes Tape 7, Side A. Please fast forward this tape to the end and continue with Side B.